Hey, it's Christian Martin. I want to run through troubleshooting Facebook ads and let you know what to do in each scenario if your ads aren't working out as planned. Now, I should let you know up front, Facebook advertising is troubleshooting. You cannot get around it. It's a scientific process where you have a hypothesis, you go out there and you test your hypothesis, you see what comes back, and then you tweak your ads based on the results that you get. So you cannot get around troubleshooting your Facebook ads. That being said, preparation is of the utmost importance. You don't want to launch ads without doing your homework. So make sure that you've done your market research, make sure that you've thoroughly gone through how to launch a proper campaign, and that you are as prepared as you possibly can be before you put your campaign out into the world. Otherwise, you're just going to waste money. So let's say that you have gone through the work and you've launched your first Facebook campaign. Now remember, Facebook's algorithm needs 4 days worth of data to optimize your ads for the audience. So if you put out the ads and then 4 hours later you look at the numbers, you're not getting an accurate representation of how this ad set is going to perform. So you have to give it time. You have to give it a minimum of 48 hours, preferably 4 days of data to see what the ads are doing. And I've seen this over and over again where an ad set the very first day will look terrible, and then the second day it completely turns around and it's a winner. So don't overlook this. Now, I have a quick checklist here to make sure you're not making any of the common mistakes that people make when they launch their first campaign. So are you optimizing your campaign for conversions? In almost all instances, with the campaigns we talk about in this program, you want to optimize for conversions right off the bat. That means you're not optimizing for link clicks, you're not optimizing for impressions or reach. Make sure that your campaign is optimized for conversions and that you have proper conversions set up, that you're optimizing for your custom conversion that you set up. That means you have a new lead for the campaign. Have you turned off all placements except for newsfeed? One of the biggest mistakes I see is that people have Audience Network or Instagram or all these other placements on. So especially to start, we only want to show your ads to desktop and mobile newsfeed because we're going to get the highest quality traffic from those sources. So do not take a campaign to other placements until you know you have a winner. Next, are you testing 6 audiences at a minimum for a local campaign and 20 audiences at a minimum for a national campaign, and 4 different images to start? You can't just put one image, one ad, and one audience out there and expect for it to work. You have to test to see what kind of results you get, and then turn off the losers and breed the winners. So are you testing different audiences, or did you just go out there and pick one audience? Next, did you go through your market and competitor research before launching your ads? You should be able to see what's working in your market and what's not. Next, do you have tech issues? Did you double and triple test your funnel before launching? Did you make sure that your pixel is installed, that your conversions are firing, that your funnel works on desktop and on mobile? And number 6, are you recording your ad stats every day? If you don't have your ad stats, I cannot help you, and you will not know what's going on with your Facebook ads. So if you have all those checked off, let's jump in. And the first one again is, I have no idea what's going on with my Facebook ads. Are they working? Are they not? And the answer to this is you have to record your daily ad stats every single day and track key performance indicators in your spreadsheet to evaluate the effectiveness of your ad. That's things like cost per click, cost per lead, impressions, reach, relevance score, all these things that we need to know to figure out if your ads are working or not. Number 2 is your ad is not approved. So maybe you launched an ad and it didn't even make it in to your business manager because it was disapproved. Usually Facebook will tell you exactly why your ad is not approved. But please, 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 before you launch your ads, make sure that you have read Facebook's policy thoroughly and that you are abiding by all rules. You do not want to get kicked out. Facebook bans accounts all the time, especially if they're new accounts and your first campaign is not approved. So did you read through those policies? Did you double and triple check that you're abiding by the rules? If so, and your ad was not approved, see if Facebook tells you why. And if they do, make the changes to your ads, delete the disapproved ads, launch a new ad set, and make the changes to the ads and try again. And if you get disapproved again at this point, you can share your ads in the group. We can take a look and see if we can figure it out. Number 2, my ads are not receiving any clicks. Have you waited for 48 to 96 hours? Are you testing a minimum of 6 audiences locally or 20 nationally? Remember, we have to test and we have to wait. If so, check how many impressions your ad has received. If you've received over 1,000 impressions and you don't have any clicks, you have a problem with either your messaging, your audience, or your images. Go back to the drawing board. Make sure you have alignment between your message and your audience, and make sure you're using images that are going to stop your prospective lead in his or her tracks. Number 3, my cost per click is too high. So you want to check your click-through rate, your link click-through rate, your relevance score, and your CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. Is your click-through rate above 1%? If it is below 1%, your audience is not responding to your ad. That's a very low click-through rate. We're aiming for 1 to 2% or higher. Is your relevance score above a 7? If you have a relevance score of a 3, that means your audience is not responding well. That's going to translate to a high cost per click. If you have a high click-through rate, let's say you have a 2% click-through rate and you have a high relevance score, let's say you have a relevance score of 8, this cost per click may be normal for your niche. So different audiences are going to cost different amounts of money to advertise to depending on the competition. So if your click-through rate is high and your relevance score is high, that's going to be normal for your niche. If your click-through rate is below 1% and you have a low relevance score, it means you need to go back to the drawing board. Next, my click-through rate is too low. So let's say you have less than a 1% click-through rate. Is your cost per click acceptable? Is it within your target KPIs, key performance indicators? If so, don't worry about it, right? Our ultimate measure is revenue into the business, and we can trace that back to cost per lead usually for most of the campaigns we're running. So if you're getting acceptable cost per leads and that's translating into new business, don't worry if your click-through rate is too low. If your click-through rate is too low and your cost per click is too high, then your message is not resonating and you need to do additional testing. Number 5, my relevance score is too low. If your cost per click and your cost per lead are okay, if they're acceptable to you, it's nothing to worry about. If your relevance score is low and your cost per click and your cost per lead are too high, that means that your audience is not responding to your ad and you have to try another approach. Number 6, my cost per 1,000 impressions is too high. So again, I have to ask, is your cost per click and cost per lead within your key performance indicator target? Is that okay? Is it acceptable? If so, don't worry if CPM is too high. If your cost per click and cost per lead are too high and so is the CPM, that means your audience isn't responding well to your ad. So check your relevance score. If it's low, again, you need to go back to the drawing board. You either have the wrong audiences, the wrong images, or the wrong messaging. Number 7, my cost per lead is too high. So have you let your ads run for at least 4 days and 100 clicks? Because you can't determine after 5 clicks if that is going to be a consistent cost per lead. So have you run at least 100 clicks? If so, and your cost per lead is too high, check your cost per click and your relevance score. Is your cost per click within your target key performance indicators? So is your cost per click high? If your cost per click is not too high, but your cost per lead is, most likely your landing page is the issue. Most likely you have low conversion on your landing page. The first thing you want to check is your ad scent. That means, does your landing page match the ad? Does it have the same feel, the same look? Does it use the same headline? Is it aligned? If it is, and you still have a very low conversion rate on your landing page, then check your tech. Make sure that nothing is broken. If your cost per click is too high and you have a low relevance score, that means your audience is not responding well to your ad, and that's going to result in a high cost per lead. So you got to get that cost per click down with a better message and better images. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have questions. Like I said, it is normal to experience all of these problems and then to go back and troubleshoot and test new things. You cannot get around it. So don't feel defeated if you're going through any of this. Know that it's normal, and if you can just work through this, the reward is worth it on the other side.